Good morning and welcome to Darlene's Creative Studio. Today is day 14 of our Creative Journal Prompt Challenge, and we're going to be working on create a flip up with a pocket, and we're going to be making this on the fourth divider that's going to go in the binder, and we're going to be using some cardstock and an envelope. And what we're going to create is this is going to be glued to the divider, and it's going to flip up, and there's going to be a pocket here, a pocket on the side, and a pocket behind. And we're going to collage and decorate this envelope so that it'll look a little nicer than a plain white envelope. So I'm going to show you the process of creating the pocket and then decorating the pocket. So let's start by gluing in our prompt into our little book here. There. And I'm just going to quickly write on the back, create a flip up with large white envelope. For fourth divider, January 13th, 2020. Okay, now we can set that aside. And we can go ahead and clear a little space here, and we will get started on our envelope. So what we're going to do is, I want the flap side of the envelope to be on the inside and the plain part to be on the top. So we're going to turn our envelope this way, and we're going to leave it open. We're not sealing it yet. We're going to fold it in half perfectly, like that, and create a fold line like that. And then we're going to open it up, and we're actually going to cut along that fold line on the inside here. So we're going to cut along this fold line here, and we're going to cut along this fold line here. I've just got to tilt it because it's a very cloudy day today, and the lighting in here is not that great. Okay, so we've gone ahead and cut just on the flap side. This part is still just the fold, and it's together like that. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut about 1/8 of an inch, and this is the bottom part with the flap on the left. The bottom part, I'm going to cut about 1/8 of an inch just off the top of this flap and this. So just about 1/8 of an inch, like that. And again on this side, about 1/8 of an inch. Oops. We gotta hold on to it so it doesn't move around. There we go. And we're gonna open that up. And it would probably work nicer if you had an envelope that didn't have the blue inside, but that's fine. So now we have a little bit of a gap here, so when we're folding this up and down, it won't get in the way. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal the upper flap, just the top one. So let's seal that, like that. And then I'm just going to take my ruler, or you can use a knife or a straight edge of some kind, and I'm just going to set it inside my envelope, and I'm just going to pull it toward me and open up this envelope on the top half only. Okay, so we now have like that. Okay, and I'm just going to trim it slightly so it's not quite so fuzzy. Take some of those fuzziness off. There we go. That, and then I'm just going to take a bead of glue And I'm going to run it along this edge right here to seal this top envelope. And we've sealed that one like that. So when we close it down, this is going to be a pocket this way. Okay. The bottom one, we can now seal it, and then we're going to punch a little. So let's seal that one up. There we go. And then we're going to use our punch to cut out a punch there and a punch there. Now this envelope is very thin, so it sometimes tears when you punch. So I like to get a scrap of some kind of paper so that when I go to punch this, and I'm just going to set the punch inside my envelope and eyeball the sides, like about there. I'm going to slide this piece of cardstock in there as well, and I'm going to put it smaller because I'm going to need it again for the other one, and then punch it. And then that way it will punch through the paper and not cut your edges or tear your edges. Sometimes when it's too thin and you punch, it just rips it. So we're going to do the same thing now for, so that's that one. And you're going to close it, and you're going to turn it sideways, and we're going to punch one here. And again, just the top layer. So we're going to set our punch in there. Move these guys out of the way. And we're just going to eyeball where about the center is, and that might be a little big there. And then I'm going to slide my piece of cardstock in there, just to the edges so that it doesn't tear, and punch. And there we go. So there is our envelope. And I'm just going to trim this little piece off the side here. There we go. And I'm going to take a piece of this cardstock, and it's the size I need. It's 8.5 by 6, I believe 6.5 or 6.25. 6.25. So I'm just going to set this one aside. So this is one we've just used, and so this is going to get glued onto the page once I do all the decorating and everything, and it will flip up, and you have a pocket here, a pocket on the side, and then I'm going to glue it so that I can slide a pocket down in. So on the back I'll be gluing it in a U shape, and then I'll be able to slide something in behind. So what we're going to do next is distress the edges of the envelope all around, and then I'm going to find a piece of paper to sit in here so that that blue part doesn't show. So what we're going to do first is go ahead and take your distressing, and we're going to distress all the edges of our envelope. So I've gone ahead and distressed the edges of my envelope. Make sure that you do the folds as well. On the inside I did the folds as well. Then I took a piece of the simple little cardstock, and I just slid it in where the little punch is, and I held it with my finger and lifted it up and put a little bit of glue there, and then pull it into position and pushed it down. So I have a piece of cardstock there and a piece of cardstock here. And then I'm going to cover the front of this envelope here. I have a scrap piece of cardstock that I used to create a little envelope journal, and I've gone ahead and punched what I normally do is, I'll show you, I set it on my front like that, and then I pull it back a little bit just so I can see the tips of my punch out, and I mark them on the paper and approximately where it comes down like that. So I have 3 marks. I have the 2 sides and the bottom, and then I go ahead and I slide my punch in, and I line up those punch marks so I can see them, and then I punch. And then to make it fit a little wider, and see how this is one's a little wider on here, I just put the punch in and I cut off little tiny strips off the edge. So when you put your paper in your punch, you literally just want to have a little tiny bit showing on this side here in your punch. You just want to shift your punch over, but you don't want to go down. You want to keep it in line with your curve. You don't want to go farther down than that, but you just want to go over to the left and cut off what I call a fingernail slice on both sides, and it just widens your U so that it'll go around this little spot here. And that's going to be the front piece. I'm going to glue this piece down. We are almost halfway through our prompts for our month. Tomorrow we will be halfway through the month. Well, today we're halfway through the month. And we're just going to put this guy on here, make sure he's nice and straight, like that. So there is my front of my flip up. And then up here I'm going to use a piece of my good old family file history book. And I'm just going to put a piece of paper there, like that. And I think I'm going to distress the edges of this just to give it a little bit more vintagey look. Everything is so white. So let's just go ahead and distress those edges. Like that. And I believe that can go up there now, like that. And you want to make sure you don't bring it down too far that it'll be in the way of your fold when you fold it down. So you got to keep it up on that piece. So there is our top. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this onto the cardstock so you can see where it's going to sit. And I guess I didn't need to distress that edge, did I? Oh well. And I'm just going along the edge, very close to the edge, because this is going to be a pocket. And across the bottom. Okay, so let's position that where we want that. Right there. So we're going to create a card for going down behind it. One for going in this pocket, and one for going in this pocket. Okay, I was thinking of using something along this line. Let's see if this will fit in here. This was just my sample. Yeah, that will work. So what I've done is taken a piece of cardstock, measured the inside of my envelope and my width. So it was 4 by 4.5, and I made it smaller, so it's a 4 1/4 by 4. I wanted to stick right to the edge, and then I just created my tabs like I did the other day by taking one that I already had. I don't have my tab punch here. And then I just took a piece of cardstock and folded it in half so there was a fold at the top, and put that, well, pretend this is a longer piece, put that along the fold, and then traced out my tab and then cut it out. So I was just using this as my template, and this was a scrap piece. And now this is very, very stark. So again, I'm gonna distress the edges of, this paper. And you can add a little bit more bling to this as well and decorate the back of this cardstock, which we probably will do. Okay. So there is our, and we're going to decorate the back, but there is our pocket for this side. So that slides in there. I did a very similar card for in the back here. Now I think I'm going to have to trim this a little smaller and maybe recreate this one because it's a little too wide for this pocket, I believe. So let me just trim this up and see if I can do that. And then if not, we'll just recreate it. Did I glue that back? Yeah, see, I've glued it fairly tight there. I'm just going to slide the card in. How far will it go down? To about there. And the glue is still wet, so I'm just kind of sliding my card in there and making it, seeing how far it will go down. So there's that, and I just round out the edges, or the corners, excuse me. So I'll round out that guy. And this cardstock is just a little not cooperating, so I'm just going to round those out a little bit more. And same with this one. Go like that, and let's just dress our edges of our card here. And again, this challenge, I'm using what I have on hand because I'm on vacation. I only brought a limited amount of supplies. So this whole project, I'm using whatever I've brought along with me. That's why there's a lot of this old family history pages and cardstock and whatnot. That's what I brought with me. So there we go. So there's the card going in there. And then we flip that one up and we've got our piece there. And then for this one was a little harder. I was trying to find a couple of, I'm running out of scraps, so I'm trying to find something, and I'm going to recut something like that. But I thought I could put a piece of paper here, and I may have a larger piece. Let's see. I do. So let's use this piece. We'll use the full piece, this side. And again, the easiest thing to do to make sure you get your right measurement is put it right on top and measure with some little marks with your pencil. And go ahead and cut that. So we have a piece that will fit right on there. Perfect. And then again, for cutting this little opening, I just slide it down so I can see the top of my cutout, like that. And then I slide it back up, and then I just kind of look to see where the end, just eyeballing where the end of my cutout is going to be. So then I'm going to put my punch in, and I'm going to look for my little pencil marks and line them up. And punch that piece out. And then I'm just going to slide it over and cut out that little tiny, sliver of a piece on the left side, and then again on the right. So so that when I put this on my page, it'll be wider than my actual punch. So let's glue this little piece down. And then I found this was in the back of one of the paperbacks that I was using for book pages, and just says vintage books, and there was a list of books there. I think I'm just going to throw that on the bottom. I just like the look of this. So we're going to use this little guy. I found him when I was going through my scraps yesterday, and I thought I'm going to use him in one of my projects. So let's put that across the bottom. Like that. I'm in the frame here, I am. And then this was a die cut that I'm using for my other book, book pages. This was a die cut out of a book page, the white part of a book page, and then these were two book pages glued together. And I think I'm going to go ahead and glue that on there as a little decoration, a label, like there. And then what you can do is take a marker, and if you'd like, you can actually go around the edge of your book plate. I'm just going to turn this sideways and do like little dash marks that look like stitching, just to make it stand out a little bit more. Like that. And then the other thing I like to do is get a little hole punch like this and punch out some little holes and use those holes to cover up there to make it look like there's brads in there. So you could use the little holes from, see if I can get another one here. These were the holes I punched out of the cardstock. So you could go ahead and just glue those there, and that would make it look like you've got brads there. And you just have to put a little tiny glue there, and then set your dot on top. There's a cheater's way of making it look like you're using brads. When you don't want the bulk and you don't want to have to worry about the feet, there you go. Now, to pull all of our papers together, like we do with all the other ones, I'm going to get my stencil. And we're going to stencil this design on the book page. I'm just going to hold it. And I don't want it dark, so I'm just going to do it really lightly here. Maybe too light. Let's try it again. There we go. That's better. Like that. And then all I do is very quickly line up, not perfectly, but pretty darn close to one of the patterns on the other side, and just there. So we've got that pattern on that page, and let's do it to our piece here. And I'm not pushing really hard, I'm just brushing across the top of it. There is my bottom right there. Right there. And then the same with the sides. Let's just go there, because we're just doing a light brushing. There. So there's our card. Slides in there. And then this little guy, let's do him as well. Like that. So there we go. We've pulled all those pieces together. We've created our tab here, created our tab here. We have our little book page there. And now we need a card for the inside of this pocket here. And this one, I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. So we want it to be about 4 1/4 by the 4 inches. And let's see if I have some of this paper left over. 4 1/4. So 4 is the width. And then about 4 1/4 high. Let's see if that works. There. So I just want enough of it to show through the top that I can grab a hold of it and pull it out. Like that. Now I do have a stamp. Let's see if I can use the stamp on this. I don't know how well it will stamp on here. Oh, will it work? Let's see. I didn't have a stamp holder. This is a package of index cards wrapped in plastic, and I've just gone ahead and stuck my stamp onto the top of that. I'll put this on a flat surface so it'll punch properly. And fold it around. And I'm going to test it on a scrap piece first. There. That looks good. So we'll re-stamp it. And we'll pull this down. And just going to center it and stamp. There. And it's crooked, but that's okay. So there is our card for the inside here. And we can go ahead and distress the edges. Where's my distressing here? Just don't want to rub on the ink if it's still wet a bit. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of that design on the side right there. There. Okay. So there is our card for inside the pocket. There. Now you can decorate and add more things to this. If you want to add a label here or a sticker, you can do that as well. I have some of, these are some of the die cuts that I have. Some of that paper. I have this little round die cut here That might look cute there with a little white piece in the middle there, so I might keep that one. We also have these. We could put that one there. Got all kinds of different things that we can use. Actually, I may use a piece of that tape on this one. There. And you know how much I love these stickers. I really do like them. I just have a hard time peeling them because they're so thin. And I always try and get it right at that fold there. There we go. And we'll add that little piece down there. And I'll save this, I'll put that in my tray. We've got some of these type of stickers. It's nice and bright. Got this one. Upside down. Just gotta get that corner now that I've squished it. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this guy out. Put this up at the top here. Maybe we can add, what can we add to this guy? We've got some little red, it's too red. Cashier's check. Guest check, those are cute. Yeah, how about a guest check on the bottom of that one? Or do I want to put it on the back? Let's put it on the back. Oops, threw the wrong part away. Okay. Put that one there. So we have a little guest check there. Put it back in there. This little guy here. Pull him out. We can add something like that to that one. That one's kind of nice. I can see it, I just can't get it. There we go. That's pretty. And let's add, I have some other stickers on the bottom here. I like this one. Actually, I'm gonna cut that off. Peel that. Make sure I don't stick that corner down. And let's put this guy on here. That. And then let's just decide whether we're going to use this guy or this one. I think I'm kind of liking that one. And then I'll cut a piece of book page to go on top of here as well, that creamy ivory color that I used on the inside here. I'll find a little piece that I can add to here as well. Let's just distress the edges of this guy, just gently. And again, we can punch out some little circles. And use them as brads. Put that on there like that. That's crooked. All right, let's throw some of these bits and pieces back in the tin here. So something along, oh, hey, that looks all right there. But something along that line where I'm just going to, got all these little book pages that are ivory. That's so garbage. So let's take this guy off. That we can add to the bottom here. If I cut this, let's try cutting that off. I've got lots of these, so. Yeah, let's use that one. Of course, I can't cut a straight edge. Yeah. And again, I'm just going to distress the edges really quickly. I'll put that on there. Right there. Put my little tickets away. And there we go. So I'll add some dark brown brads to there. We've got our flip up with a writing space here. A little piece there. We put something on this one. Oh gosh. To pull everything back out again. How about this one? We've got that one and we've got that one. It's almost too big, isn't it? How about something like that? My favorite, these little these little vellum stickers. You just do not like me. All right. I'm going to peel that one off camera because that'll take 5 minutes for me to get that one off. And I'm going to look for some black for the brads for the front. So let's see what we can do with that one. The sticker is peeled and put on there. And what I did was I went in over to my trimmer and I lined up the edges a little bit and straightened, because when I stamped this line stamp on there, it was a little bit crooked. So all I did was put my paper in there and line up these to my cutting edge and actually straighten out the edges so that they lined up better with the stamp. That's a good way to fix something. If you stamp it a little crooked, just trim your edges so that they fit the actual image on the inside. So we've gone ahead and finished that guy. Let's put him back. I've punched two little black holes here from my punch, and I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I'm in this screen here. Go ahead and put a little dab of glue there and a little dab of glue there. And put these little guys on as my brads. Over a bit. There we go. So we have some little brads, and again, if you want to take your marker and just do some little lines to make it look like it's been sewn. There. And that makes it stand out a little bit more. So that is our flip out with pockets. And I'm just going to quickly on the other side of this do our book page. I've gone ahead and ripped out a book page. And we just need our distressing. Stuff. So let's quickly distress this. And then perhaps do this around the edges. And then this side. And then this side. Here. And then we're going to take a piece of our old family file folder pages here and distress those edges really quickly. All right, and that can go on there like that. And then we need something for the, I'm thinking of this little guy maybe under here. And maybe this guy. So let's grab our, let's move this stuff out of the way. Put this on our piece of paper here. And this guy come out more. There, let's just do that real quick. Another one of those darn vellum stickers. I just love them. I love the look of them. I love using them, but I have terrible eyes, and to try and peel them is just very, very hard. So let's make sure we get our little edges here. Okay, let's put this guy down. And then our card. And I like using this lined paper from that book because it's more cardboardy than a book page. It's like a thicker page so that it's a nicer piece to use. Now I'm not going to put down that corner all the way because I want to put this little guy underneath. And I forgot that. So let's slide that little guy under there. Perfect. And then this one as well. Grown. I did get the other one right. As soon as I turned the camera off, it did actually come off fairly well. So there we go. Not so bad. And this one I did want under the paper. See if I can still lift it if it's still wet. It is good. All right. Let's slide him up and underneath. Under there, because I really don't want the man's face showing too much. There we go. And I'll just add a little bit more glue to the back of the page. There we go. So there is the back of our divider. And I'll just grab my binder here. Little bits and pieces out of the way. So this is going to be in our binder. And there's 1, 2, 3, and this will be our 4th. And that's all the dividers I'm going to do in this, and then the rest will be pages of any kind. So we need to add that little fabric tab. So let's just grab a piece of that fabric. And there's a little piece already cut. We can use this one, I guess. Is it the same width? It's not quite the same width. See if we can trim this. If it doesn't work, I'll get another piece. There. And we're going to add that one probably about, of course it'll be right where our flip up is, but we'll lift that flip up and just put that right there. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac for this just because I really want it to hold fairly tight, and we're using fabric, so I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the edge here. And I want it to go about there. And then we're going to flip it over and add a little bit of glue to the other side here. And then flip it and glue it to the other side. So there is our little fabric tab, and it runs along like the other ones do. And we're going to just trim that little bit off. There. So we can close that up. And there is our fourth divider. And we created a flip up with a pocket, or two. There. So there is day 14 down. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're following along. I hope you're finding some interesting tidbits of information that might help you create your own unique things. And again, use your own supplies, change them in any way you like. These are just prompts to help you get creative when you're staring at a project and you're not quite sure what to add. Just go to your prompt list and look through it, and you might get a quick idea. Something might pop in your head and say, oh, I can use that game card, or I can use that clothing tag, or something along those lines. But it'll just give you some ideas when you're stuck in the middle of a project. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow.